Everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Josh Zodiac Podcast, the greatest wrestling podcast you've never heard of. This is the podcast that is excited, happy, any other adjectives you can think of that CM Punk is a champion and not that bum Sami Zayn. Now, that being said, we will be doing a new episode of the Hot Tag. We will talk about nothing but that mid-Carter Punk, Sami Zayn, and of course the main event that is CM Punk. So we will reserve our opinion for that until the Hot Tag. So stay tuned for that. That'll be dropping this weekend. But before we do all that, let me introduce my co-host here. Of course, you know him, the Repute Movie Viewer, Bob, yada, 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 Psycho Nerd Podcast, all that shit, the Psycho Nerd. Now, again, we've said that this podcast is taking a different direction. We're only going to be reviewing pay-per-views, PLEs, QVs, whatever you want to call them in WWE and AEW, whatever. So next weekend, we will be talking about Saturday Night Main Event in Madison Square Garden. That's going to be fun. Yeah, that's going to be fun. We're going to go back in the time machine. We're going to hop into the DeLorean. We're going to go to 88 miles per hour. And we're going to go back to August 30th, 1998. Fuck. Was in the name at that time. Fuck. I was not even 7 months in at that point. Wow. We're going back to WWF SummerSlam, also known as the Highway to Hell. Now, before I give the notes about this show, Psycho Nerd had brought up a interesting fact that I had forgotten about, that with WWF, whatever, being on Netflix, and after a certain amount of time, licensing tends to expire, so they change said songs. So I'm going to give the floor to the Psycho Nerd. Please enlighten not just myself, but everybody watching and or listening, what we mean by that.
Well, exactly what you said. In the weeks leading up to this show, they advertised it as the Highway to Hell, the main event between Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker for the title. So much so that they actually got rights to the AC/DC song to use. They used it during a promo during the actual show, and it was played prominently throughout the show based on what I remember. Yeah. Unfortunately, I do not have this one on Blu-ray. I have it on VHS, which I do not have the ability to watch right now, but I will eventually. Unfortunately, because it's on Netflix, not only do we not get the Highway to Hell song whatsoever, but also some of the promos, including the one for the main event, are pretty much devoid. Like, they kind of chopped a lot of different things out of the show, and I couldn't help but notice it almost immediately. So for my money, still a decent show, but for me, my nostalgia goggles, my memories of watching this, it kind of took a piss all over them because these things were devoid. So it bothered me a little bit, but that's not going to really influence my overall grade. That is just something that left a sour taste in my mouth, and I'll just say that.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's a bummer.
And that's fair because, that nostalgia definitely, you remember all that. And then with it not being there, I remember when I clicked to watch it during the week, noticed the runtime was like just barely 2.5 hours. And I'm going, pay-per-views back there were like just a little over 3 hours long. So there was at least half an hour of, videos or, promos or whatever the case may be that were gone. And I'm sitting there going, wonder what the fuck. And then when you brought that up today, I'm like, makes sense. Makes 100% sense that, and this is a time in my life when I could not watch pay-per-views because there was nowhere to watch them because I was living in the barracks. So whatever outcome happened, we either had to go online, which was also hard to do at the time. You just waited till Raw the following Monday.
Who wants to do that? You want to see it live in person.
And it's funny, people who live in the now that complain about streaming, I prefer the streaming method because you can watch it whenever you want. You don't have to watch Raw on Monday. You don't have to watch SmackDown on Friday. That's whatever the fuck you want.
Exactly. You're not fixated on having to watch it at that specific moment.
Yep.
So that's a good thing.
100% fact. But again, let's hop into the DeLorean. Let's go 88 miles an hour. We're going to go back to, again, like I said, August 30th, 1998 in Paradise, Nevada at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Gee, didn't we just do a review that was in the same spot? Oh, is that AEW like 30 years later? You could have sworn they were in the same spot. Maybe they renamed the arena, but it's pretty much the same area.
Well, that's Las Vegas. Here it's Madison Square Gardens.
Oh, that's right. Wait, hold on.
Yeah, what show are you talking about?
Talking about the same one that we watched. This was in the Madison Square Garden.
SummerSlam 1998, Madison Square Garden. Same location as WrestleMania 10. Same location as
Hold on.
Royal Rumble 2000.
I may have
I think you might. Did you watch the wrong show?
No, it's funny. I watched both 98 and 2000. Oh, hang on. You said 98, right?
Yeah, 98.
Okay, hang on.
MSG.
I'll be damned. It is Madison Square Garden. You know what? I'm probably thinking of the other one because I was probably watching that one when I was doing these notes. So hang on. I fucked up.
Aren't you glad you got the
No.
you got Slippy Toad version of me?
No, that was in Raleigh, North Carolina. So what the fuck was I typing?
I have no. I think you still have the Forbidden Door in your head, sir.
You know what? That's
that
exactly
is.
what it is. I still have the notes from Forbidden Door on. I didn't. Yeah.
You're fired.
No, you can't fire me. It's my show. I can do what I want. Anyway,
You're docked, sir.
disregard what I said. It's in Madison Square Garden, the greatest arena in the world. Attendance 21,508. I still can't believe I put like an idiot. You know what? In my defense, it's been a very long week. So I'm happy it's Friday because we're recording this Friday night. I'm happy it's Friday.
Well, at the end of the day, I had to at least correct you because otherwise we would have both looked like idiots.
I respect that because if I kept saying, oh, Pada, like, you're fucking stupid. That's my fault for not double checking my work. So hopefully I have the matches right too. I'm pretty sure.
Well, I do. I just watched it earlier today, so we're good.
Anyway,
we're good.
21,588 with a buy rate of 700,000 buys. Whoa.
I caught that. Nice.
That's a lot. If you do the math, and back then the pay-per-views were what, $40-$50 a pop?
Yeah, about $50.
They're making a pretty nice chunk of change every month.
I mean, this is like peak Attitude Era right here. They were on fire at the time.
This is literally maybe 6 months before the infamous switching of the channels from Nitro to Raw to watch Mick Foley win the title. This is literally it's in the chamber, ready to go. Fucking what's that commentator from WCW that's on AEW? Tony Schiavone just shoots himself in the foot. Yeah, Mick Foley's gonna win their title. That'll put butts in the seats. And I remember we were watching in total nostalgia here. We were in the rec room in the birthing because we would always go back and forth between Raw and Nitro. Would always argue, I don't fucking want to watch Nitro. I want to watch fucking Raw. And then when Schiavone said that, the channel changed and it never went back after that. We never went back to WCW at one time.
Mostly, was it because of the fact that Mick Foley won, or the fact that they were taking such a shot against the other company?
A little bit of both,
makes
actually. It was very condescending the way they did it. And it's one of those things where it's like, they would always give out the results of the Raw because Raw was always pre-taped. They would send people to watch it and then, oh, yeah, this is what it's very, very shitty, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, WWF won. But we're off track, as we always do. Opening match, the WWF European title. I'm sorry, this is one of my favorite titles. I don't care what anybody says. This and the $1 Million Belt are my two favorite belts of all time. We have Val Venus versus D'Lo Brown, and I'm thinking this is right before the Nation of Domination, or maybe
this is after the Nation. Nation's already been around for a couple of years, but they had a restructuring after Farouk got kicked out after WrestleMania.
That's right. We have Val Venus versus D'Lo Brown. D'Lo is the European champion, and I don't know about you, but there's two names that pop in my head when I think European title. D'Lo Brown is one of them. Dan McMahon is the other one.
Oh, well, he did hold it for a while, so I'll give you that one.
Maybe X-Pac, but nah, he's not one of the first names I think of.
He had it for a while, but no, not so much.
Give us your take on this particular match.
Not a stupendous opening, but not a bad opening as far as I'm concerned. I love how for the longest time D'Lo was wearing that damn chest protector, and I feel like he milked it for everything it was worth. For some reason, this is the second time in this show because it happens on Sunday Night Heat. Because I actually looked that one up. Just standing out in the crowd watching, and it's like, what's he doing? What's he doing there? But there is a reason why he's lurking, but we find out about that later. Some decent fast-paced action going on for a little while. Neither man really gains a major advantage for a good while, but some nice moves. I do enjoy the Texas Cloverleaf that D'Lo does, turning it into a crab, which I always associate the Texas Cloverleaf with Dean Malenko. So it was nice to see somebody else do it.
Sheamus too, actually.
That's right. Sheamus. I forgot about Sheamus. We got a nice spike DDT at one point during the match. D'Lo actually drops Val on his head while he's going for a power bomb.
Oh, yeah.
He tries to pick him up. It doesn't work. He tries it again, and he just kind of just lobs him on the ground. And it's like, dude, what the hell?
Oops.
It's he wasn't hurt, thankfully, so that's a
Yeah.
good thing. But for me, this is not a bad match, very solid. But I just didn't care how the match ended in a
Yeah.
DQ. But that's just me.
Forget what the DQ spot was. What was the DQ spot? Was it the chair or was it the belt? I honestly don't remember what happened.
Shit, you know what? I didn't even write down the note thinking that I would remember. I actually kind of forgot, so shame on me.
Well, I remember what it was. Val Venus had like shoved the referee or something.
That's right.
And then the ref got up and looked over and went, no, ring the bell. Val Venus, and then
I get it. Val Venus had stolen off the protector and he was trying to use it for a frog splash, but okay, that's what it was.
That makes more sense, actually.
Shame on me.
So yeah, we both flubbed. So we're even. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we are gonna flub, we are gonna fuck up, we're gonna make mistakes, but we own up to our mistakes. Yeah.
It's all your fault.
Yeah. But again, D'Lo Brown retains his title via disqualification. So we move on to the next match. Match I didn't give two shits about. I literally was on my phone the entire time because it did not catch any attention from me. It's Kai and Tai versus the Oddities. I was not a fan of the Oddities. I think the Insane Clown Posse was a part of that too, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're the ones that did the theme song.
And I'm sorry, I am not a juggalo, or a juggalette, whatever the hell you call them. Not a fan. There's like one song from ICP that I like, and that's pretty much it. So I don't call myself a fan.
I know which one you're talking about.
Which
the dating
one?
Game.
Yes, the dating game is one I like. Other than that, I'm checked out. What's your thoughts on this match?
Well, it's advertised as a 4-on-3 handicap match, 4 members of Kai and Tai versus 3 of the Oddities, whatever. You know what? This match was a bit of a novelty at the time that it came out because the Oddities were actually going over with the crowd for a period of time.
Yeah.
But now it just doesn't hit the way it used to. And the match really didn't do a whole lot to get me overly excited. I mean, as far as like some highlights, at one point, Kurgan dances throughout the entire match whenever he's like in the ring or on the outside, which, you know, at least he's having fun. At one point, he gets on his knees so he can be like eye to eye level with one of the Kai and Tai members. I was like, okay, all right, you're not a heel, but that's still kind of fun.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Golga actually getting slammed by 2 of the opponents from Kai and Tai, which impressive considering how little those guys are in stature. So, by the way, do you remember who Golga really is? Do you remember?
I don't.
Earthquake.
Oh shit.
Earthquake. Yeah, and that's because I realized it back when they first came out. I noticed it just because of the way he would do certain things in the ring. I was like,
yeah.
That's Earthquake shit going on there. What the hell? And then when I finally got the confirmation, I was like, hey, there's hope for me yet. But a quadruple chokeslam happens at one point. All 4 members of Kai and Tai get chokeslammed at the same time. That was a lot of fun. But honestly, least favorite match of the night. It just didn't do a whole lot for me. Overall, it's meh at best.
Yeah, it's card filler. Yeah, I would disagree. This being the least favorite match of the night. We'll get to that one here in a bit. Next, we have a hair versus hair match with good old Double J, Jeff Jarrett versus X-Pac. We've talked on this show plenty of times about X-Pac. The guy's character from 1-2-3 Kid, or just the kid, the 1-2-3 Kid when he beat Reyes Ramon on and then becoming 6 in the NWO, and then X-Pac. But the thing about 6 and X-Pac, they're the same fucking dude. They just have a different fucking name. It's pretty like, much. Oh, name is P. Diddy. Oh, now my name is Puffy. Pick one and stick with it. Seriously. So we've talked about how X-Pac's character has never really evolved. This is definitely looking into that mirror and saying, oh yeah, this is X-Pac. He kind of sucks. That's a weak link of DX.
He was good in the ring. It was just exactly that. He never evolved his character over the course of time, and that ended up being his biggest downfall. But this was at a point when he actually had a lot of popularity, mostly being with DX. It always makes me wonder if he came back and DX wasn't around or he wasn't in the faction, how would he have done? He was actually perfect for that faction at the time.
I think he would have just fallen flat. And I know this is in the future based on when this show happened, but the shit he did to China after the fact, it's just fucked up. And I've never been able to respect the man after that. I'm like, I know
it's been difficult. I
can see this thing about Triple H though. Triple H just fucking they just bought a house together, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna fuck the boss's daughter. No, I get it. You want to be in the company, but there's better ways to do it. And again, I'm not getting on a soapbox.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I cannot respect X-Pac at all. Not even a little bit. Anyway, Thoughts on this match?
Well, taking all that stuff out from X-Pac is I agree with at least a portion of what you're talking about. But
Yeah.
this is a contender, one of two matches that are contenders for my top favorite match of the night. I thought this was a really solid match. Not only a hair versus hair match, which, you know, it was interesting enough because both guys are known for their long hair. Let's be fair here.
True. Yeah.
And it was a good match overall. I mean, both guys, they start hot and heavy. X-Pac at one point does a nice little body slash from the middle rope to the outside. I thought that was pretty nice. You don't see that too often. He does a nice little tornado DDT. I always love that particular one, depending on who does it or how they do it. Always looks pretty sick. Good job on Jeff's part to kind of throw in the sleeper hold and eventually the figure four leg lock just to kind of slow down the pace a little bit, you know, considering how they're, you know, X-Pac's a high flyer. So that's pretty smart. Southern Justice, they end up interfering on Double J Jeff Jarrett's behalf and end up costing him the match after the guitar ends up in the ring and X-Pac takes it, clocks Double J, and then ends up getting the win. But we glossed over the fact that Howard Finkel actually came out with X-Pac, but do you know why?
Showed why on I think it was Heat or it was earlier on Raw or something where they shaved. Well, granted, Fink didn't have a whole lot of hair to begin with anyway, but they shaved what was left. And of course, he had to go out there with, for whatever reason, you know, this is my thing about that. Fink, anybody who's a ring announcer should not be involved in the match at all. Zero.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense that, and Lillian Garcia to a point, I'm like, why are we involving them in the match? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't need to be there.
No,
I want to go back to what I was saying about X-Pac. I'm not discrediting his in-ring ability. Is fucking phenomenal. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
He's you know, almost like a cruiserweight, not quite a cruiserweight. Just is outside the ring shit that he did, you know. And I should keep that same energy for when I talk about Benoit. But again, that's a whole nother argument. So
yeah, we're not going to go down that road yet.
I do remember that after this, Jeff Jarrett got his head shaved and all that. That he never grew his hair back long for a while. Like he had it short. Mm-hmm. I think this is the beginning of the whole slap nuts thing too. Like right after.
It is. And you know what? Getting his hair shaved really worked wonders for his character because it fit his persona perfectly. Because he became a much angrier person after that, always wearing the shades, always having a guitar. He brings in Deborah sometime soon after this. He hasn't done it yet. And he starts tag teaming with Owen Hart. So a lot of things end up changing for him after the whole hair incident.
Owen Hart? You mean not a nugget? Of course I can smell what The Rock is cooking. Look how big my damn nose is. Still, you know, but you can say, and it's funny when this match was over, the Outlaws, they were in the ring.
They didn't waste any time. No time at all.
No time getting in the ring and helping them out. But this brings up another thing that when certain superstars in WWE, when they get a haircut or they shave their head, they become a different character. Look at Stone Cold. He was stunning Steve Austin. He gets a haircut, grows a goatee, he becomes Stone Cold. Kurt Angle gets into a hair match too. He becomes a bit of a badass. And I will argue, I've only seen bits and pieces, but I think TNA Kurt Angle is better than anything we got in WWE. And I will die on that hill. People will disagree. That was a more all-headed Kurt Angle was more dangerous. And that's also when we saw Brock damn near kill himself doing a shooting star press at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, Angle had plenty of time in the WWE when he had his head shaved, but I haven't seen any of his TNA stuff. I wouldn't mind checking some of it out down the road to have something to compare it to. But.
And if you think about it, before he shaved his head, he came out with the 3 eyes, drinking milk, goody, the comic relief when Stone Cold was the sheriff.
Yep.
And then he shaves his head, and then all of a sudden he just becomes this darker character.
He was a beast. Let's be fair here, dude. He became a fucking beast in the ring. Like it was like, okay, before now he was just annoying, but now it's like you got to take this guy seriously.
Yeah.
He will get in the ring. He will beat your ass if you give him the chance.
And I think that was the point of the character. He was just this goofy Olympian that people were annoyed with, and then when he became that Kurt Angle, you know, it was just a whole different thing. And we've seen that with other people when they cut their hair, they shave their head, they just become a different character altogether. And Sheamus to a point when he had the mohawk, which was stupid, by the way. Sheamus, I love you. You're one of my favorite superstars of all time. You're Irish. We've loved you since day one. But what the fuck were you thinking, man?
It was because he was in the Ninja Turtles film. That's why.
Shit, make him wear a wig. fuck? That was the stupid. You look stupid, Chance. You know what? Y'all look stupid too. And I'm like, no, you're not winning any battle with that one. Anywho, moving on, we have a rare mixed tag match with Mark Miro and Jacqueline versus Edge and Sable.
Which Edge was brought in as a mystery opponent. We didn't know who was going to be in the match leading up to it. They actually had an interview with Sable on Sunday Night Heat from Shawn Michaels. He was actually prominent during the Sunday Night Heat show. Tried to get an answer, didn't get one. So we literally found out right when his music hit who it was.
Oh, this was Shawn Michaels before he lost his smile, right? This was
this is after.
This is after he lost his smile? Okay.
He's already like retired at this point in time. Because after
he was the commish, right?
At this point, yes, he was. I believe he still was. Yeah.
It's one of those things where Mark Miro was all, who's in a tag with you? It reminded me of the movie Can't Hardly Wait. Whatever, Amanda, who's gonna want you now? And she's like, somebody. How about nobody? It was just very comical. And this happened before that movie came out, because that didn't come out till 99, I believe. Or not,
summer of 98. This happened literally a month or so after that movie came out. So they came at almost around the same time. So you're pretty spot on.
So details on this match. This is another one where, Sable is for a female wrestler in a time when there was no real female talent yet. It was coming. Lita was not really wrestling. She was just kind of a valet.
She wasn't there yet.
Oh, she wasn't there with Isai Morales yet? Or Isai Morales?
No, not officially. Not officially. But the only women they had was Luna. She wasn't really doing anything at the time. And then you had Jacqueline, who I think was enough to start something with a few other women opponents. But because Jacqueline was great in the ring. I thought she was really good, but they didn't really utilize her the way I think they could have.
This is even before Stratus showed up as a valet for what was the name of that?
Yeah, TNA. You're right.
TNA? Okay. I try not to say T and A or TNA. They're different. They're different, but they're the same.
The hardcore fans know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, you do. And the fact that they would always center on her chest first and then pan out, and I'm like, what are y'all doing, man? You're giving me a fucking heart attack over here. Jesus, Trish is so fucking sexy.
That's a discussion for another day. But
anywho, your thoughts on this mixed tag match?
Well, it does a good job of continuing where WrestleMania left off with the mixed tag match that happened during that show when Mero and both Meros, I should say, were tag teaming together. Now they're on opposite sides with different partners. So it's a nice way to keep the story going. Not a bad mixed tag match, actually. I feel like Jackie does a good job of doing the heel bit where she's running from Sable every time she has an opportunity to be in the ring with her. Typical coward type thing. I enjoy that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But she has no qualms about getting involved, doing things with Edge when he's in the ring. So it's like nice typical heel type shit. Jackie accidentally knocks Mero off the apron, which I thought was hilarious. And then he inadvertently returns the favor later in the match. So comes full circle. Gotta love that. Let's see. Jackie actually got involved a little bit too much in Edge's shit during the match and ends up getting spanked on the runway, which, you know what? I'm just going to say it, lucky bastard. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. But you know what? The final moments of the match are great. You talked about Sable. She gets a Hurricane Rana on Mark Mero. And it looked pretty damn good. You know what? I give Sable all the credit in the world. She wasn't the greatest wrestler, but when it came time to get in matches, she stepped up and did some really impressive stuff for the limited time that she was wrestling. So that's just my opinion.
Agreed. Now, didn't she powerbomb or do her little Sable bomb on Mark Mero, or was that on Jacqueline? I forget how this match ended.
What happened is that at one point, Mero falls on the ground. Jackie accidentally landed face first into Mero's junk. Again,
that's right.
Great. Gotta love those spots. And then what happened is that Mero's on the ground, and then Edge picks up Sable, like with her facing down on the mat, and then slams her down onto the opponent, and that's how they got the 1, 2, 3. So nice little bit of teamwork to finish the match for Edge and Sable.
Yeah, Edge and Sable pick up the win, and Sable, gets one over on Mark Mero, which is what she wanted in the first place. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, it came down to jealousy of Mark Mero because he brought her in as a valet. People took to her almost immediately, and he got jealous. Of course, this was not back. This was legit, real heat in the back. He was legit upset about all that stuff. So this was kind of like the whole Matt Hardy thing with Lita, but just on a smaller scale. So
Yeah, smaller scale because
yeah,
that one blew way out of
that one go
proportion.
way out of proportion. Next match we're going to talk about very, very briefly. I was not into this match. I could have cared less about this match, but we have the Lions Den match, Owen Hart versus Ken Shamrock. Do we even fucking care at this point?
You know what? I have a much, much different opinion on this match than you do.
This to me was the worst match. It didn't need to be on the card. Granted, this was my introduction to UFC, seeing what the Octagon looked like, but could have given two shits about this match. But you can go ahead and rant and rave all you like.
That's too bad because this was the other contender for possible favorite of the night because I thought it was a pretty decent little catch as catch can style match inside of a cage where they can't go anywhere. There's no rope break, so that makes it an interesting dynamic in my opinion. And you know what? Shamrock actually uses the cage several times throughout the match to kind of propel himself off to give Owen a clothesline. But
Yep.
problem is he got a little too greedy and actually got caught and got slammed for his trouble. So that's what happens when you get greedy, kids.
Yep.
Be happy with what you got. Just saying. At one point, I think Owen personally, and this is a personal note about Owen Hart, I think he's got the greatest insecurity ever. Because when he does it, I sit there and grab my head like, that looks ugly. And I've had enough head trauma in my life. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And again, so have you, thanks to me.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You're welcome, by the way.
Yeah, you're a dick.
Anyway.
I knew you didn't on purpose, asshole.
But shut up. But Shamrock actually does continue to use the cage to his advantage. He actually uses it to get out of the sharpshooter, which I thought was kind of clever, and then follows it up with a nice little DDT. Eventually, he does make Owen tap. A little story going on here is that Dan Severn, who was also in UFC, a rival to Ken Shamrock, he was supposed to be, I guess, training Owen for the match. And once Owen is in the ankle lock, he just kind of walks off like, screw this. And I think that story continued on, but it wasn't really that interesting or anything.
Yeah. True.
But no, I actually enjoyed this match immensely. I think maybe the hair versus hair might win over this one, but I actually enjoyed it for what it was. It was a decent little wrestling match.
Yeah, it was
inside of a cage.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just was not invested in this match at all. And again, I'm just not the biggest fan of UFC. I get it. Steve Blackman and Ken Shamrock came from that particular organization. Tapped their toe into the wrestling ring, which they were successful to a point.
Yeah, they were.
But, I just wasn't into it.
I mean, I'm not a big UFC guy either, but I feel like this was more like a wrestling match inside of a cage. I guess more UFC style, but they definitely did some, like I said, good catch can style wrestling in the ring, and I appreciate that. So, but to each their own, no big deal. Everyone's different.
Next match, we kept getting interviews with Mankind because apparently him and Kane are the tag team champions. We also have Kane being told to not interfere with the Undertaker Stone Cold Championship match, an event later in the show. So it's like, is Kane going to show up? Is Kane going to show up? So we have a Falls Count Anywhere handicap match for the WWF Tag Team titles. Mankind by himself versus the New Age Outlaws. Did we really think Mankind was going to win this match?
It would have been impressive as all hell if he had pulled it off. But shit, where do I begin with this match? There's so much shit that even goes on before this match even took place. Where the weeks leading up to this pay-per-view, Undertaker and Stone Cold were put in a situation where they had to fight for the tag team titles, and they fucking won. They were tag team champions for a short period of time before Mankind and Kane won the titles from them. So okay, whatever. But as far as this match is concerned, Mankind has to go solo without Kane, which they make it seem like he's not there. Mankind gets maybe a couple of shots in during this match, but otherwise this is a 2-on-1 handicap squash match with
big time.
Bottom freaking line. Okay, they decimated Mankind throughout this match.
They really did.
And then to add insult to injury, after the match is over, after being talked trash by Billy Gunn to his face afterwards, then Kane, they throw him in the dumpster. Kane was in the dumpster the whole damn time, and then apparently hits him with the freaking sledgehammer.
Yeah.
And then just kind of walks away. And it's like, so what was the point of this match? To make Mankind look like, what are we doing here? Well, I feel like, I don't know.
To be fair, in about 6-7 months, like we said before, he would become the WWF champion. So I think,
which is cool.
I think he got to do do frame treatment. He had to crawl through a river of shit to become clean on the other side. So I think this was
a very good analogy there.
I'm saying it's true that he kept getting, if you watch the matches with him and The Rock, where he's I quit matches where he's not protected and taking chair shots to the head. Those are hard matches to watch, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. They are hard to watch. Watch at your own risk because it's ugly.
Yeah. Not to
Yep.
mention that Mankind got screwed at the Survivor Series Deadly Game tournament for the title that became
Yep.
vacant very soon after all this. So,
Yep.
so yeah, he definitely paid his dues before he won that title. Let's
It's
be
true.
fair here. But he got his ass kicked, bottom line. But you know what? It's Mankind. We know he's good. He's still going to have a nice day one way or the other.
Have a nice day. I'm not a fan of him being in AEW, by the way, but that's a whole nother argument. For me, this next match of the night, you cannot argue with me. Ladder matches.
I can't argue with you.
Ladder matches in this period of time, and the first one that I can remember watching was, of course, the Shawn versus Razor Ramon ladder match at WrestleMania 10.
10.
The right
WrestleMania 10.
Yeah, that was one of the first ladder matches, and it was for the IC belt, which is ironic in itself.
And same building as well.
Yeah, the same building, just a different belt, because that was they had the old Intercontinental. Now we have the oval shaped Intercontinental belt, which I've
always been a fan of. I love the oval shape.
I like.
I love that belt.
Nah,
I love that belt. That's just me.
We have our champion, The Rock, coming out with Mark Henry versus Triple H with China. Mark Henry is out there to make sure China does not do anything out of the ordinary, because China had a habit of interfering in Triple H's matches. But Mark Henry, when he walks in, he's all sexual chocolate. He's like, yeah, girl, how you doing? China, just being all like that. It's just fucking weird. This was a long match, by the way.
Too long. Way too long.
I agree it's a little long, but
almost a half an hour, bro.
But here's the thing.
It's like 28 minutes.
When you have The Rock versus Triple H, I'm expecting there to be a 25, 30-minute match. It's compelling. It tells a story. There was no real downtime or down periods in this match, at least until the very end anyway, when it got a little, they kept doing the ladders and everything. But what is your take on this particular match?
I mean, I will say the story going into this match is definitely unbelievably compelling, considering what happened weeks leading in. I don't know if you remember. Where The Rock and the Nation were out in the ring. China went to go confront them, and she ends up being humiliated. That's where the whole thing where he pretends like he's going to kiss China, but I will never kiss a piece of trash like you. Tries to get Mark Henry to do it. Shawn Michaels comes out, saves the day, because they had DX secluded in their locker room with a forklift to keep them from interfering. So
I do remember that.
Triple H came out later on that night and basically said, The Rock at SummerSlam, your role is going to be very clear. You will be my bitch. So the setup for this match was great as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Now, first off, I'm going to say The Rock has apparently always had a potty mouth when he plays The Rock, when Dwayne plays The Rock, because before the match starts, they're looking at each other and he's sitting there like, it's like,
yeah, you had to read his lips. Yeah, I remember that.
It's like, damn, boy.
Did he just say that?
God damn. So I thought when he was doing that to Cody, it was like, hey, whoa, hey, you're making the kids cry. Literally, what are you doing right now? But apparently he's been doing that since the get-go, so whatever. But I'm sorry, but for my money, this is one of my least favorite and blandest ladder matches I've ever seen. Now, going in at the time, it was a fun match for what it was. But here's the thing. At the time, I was still kind of a new fan. I was only hardcore for a couple of years, had only seen a couple of ladder matches. However, in the last almost 30 years, my experience with ladder matches has grown exponentially. And I found this one to be very long-winded and kind of boring after the first 10 minutes. I mean, it started off pretty hot and heavy. They're fighting each other on the outside, down the ramp, back in the ring, no big deal. Triple H jumps off the ladder at some point, hurts himself, and Rock targets the leg. Smart wrestling, very smart, especially when it's a ladder match. I appreciate all that. Here's my problem. After about 8 to 10 minutes in, they spend so much time lying on the ground and just, they get winded very quickly and the match drags on way too long. There are some good spots, I will give you that. But to say that it's the best match of the night for myself, no. That's okay if it's yours. That's cool. But for me, no. A couple other things that happen along the way. Mark Henry throws the powder in the eyes of Triple H, which, I'm sorry, every time I see powder, I always think of Ready to Rumble. And if you know, you know. Thank you very much. But then China, as the match starts to wrap up, both guys are on the ladder. She gets in the ring and gives The Rock a clock in the strudel, the people's strudel, if you will.
No, she hit the people's pebbles.
There you go. And ends up letting Triple H win the match, which good finish, but they could have shortened this match down by a few minutes, and maybe it would have been a little bit
You
more
know what? When you put
enjoyable for
it like
myself.
that, when you put it like that, it makes sense. I can get on board with that. But again, ladder matches, especially for the Intercontinental belt, have always been really good matches.
Well, the one that you talked about before at WrestleMania 10 is phenomenal. It's great for what it was. It was simple but effective. It worked very well because both those guys, their styles really complemented each other. Both The Rock and Triple H, for me, you know I'm not the biggest Rock fan, but I at least gave him a chance here.
Yep.
But the fact that both men's repertoire in the ring, in terms of how many different moves they do, they're both seriously lacking, in my opinion, and it makes for a very long-winded type match. That's just my opinion.
You talk about Intercontinental belt ladder matches right there.
I have still never watched that show.
Sin Cara versus Ziggler versus Ryder, who won, versus my favorite, Stardust, versus Sami Zayn, ironically enough. The Miz and Kevin Owens, who was the champion at the time. For those that don't know, Zack Ryder, he want to call him Matt Cardona, and I know that's not even his name anymore. But Zack Ryder gets the win. His dad comes out, they celebrate, and then on Raw, Maurice comes out, and The Miz kills everything. But, keep that same energy for Sami Zayn when he lost his title. But again, we'll talk about that in the hot tag.
Which is fine.
But we can agree to disagree. I thought this was a great match. And again, like I said, ladder matches for the Intercontinental belt are always banger matches. I can't think of one that was shitty. Whenever you add a ladder to a match, I'm looking at the Hardy Boys, I'm looking at the Dudleys, and I'm looking at Edge and Christian. You throw a fucking ladder in there, it's going to be a great match for the most part. I'm sure there's a couple that I don't remember that are pretty shitty, but add hardware, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I mean, this is going to go down as one of my more least favorite ladder matches. And it stinks that it didn't hold the test of time like it did back then, because at the time, again, the storyline is what really drove this match. But since they didn't really give you any of the storyline, like if you heard everything I said, they don't talk about really any of that before the match starts. So it makes it more lackluster, but it is what it is.
Moving on to the main event for the WWF Championship. We have The Undertaker versus Stone Cold with that really shitty smoking skull belt. That belt should be toilet paper because it's shitty. Again,
I mean, this belt.
I'm going to say this. For Undertaker being as dominant as he was, I would think he would have had more title reigns in his career. Nowhere near. If anybody should have broke Ric Flair's record, it should have been The Undertaker, John Cena.
Not only that, but he never really held the title very long whenever he did win it. Like, even when he beat Hogan, he didn't hold it very long. When he won it at WrestleMania 13, he lost it 6 months later. Evidently, the year before this at SummerSlam in the main event. Between him and Stone Cold, they have quite the interesting year from 97 to 98. So
your thoughts on this? Again, you're going to be very biased because I know
actually I'm not. I'm going to be very truthful in this match. And you know what? It wasn't that great of a main event, but there's a reason why. There's a reason why. I don't know if you know or remember this.
But hold on. I got to find it. Where is it? Where is it? I don't have it on here. Motherfucker, I don't have it on.
People can't hear it anyway, so.
They can, because I didn't have the volume up. Oh, here it is. Wow, he is going to talk bad about Stone Cold.
No, I'm not going to talk bad whatsoever. I'm just going to call it like it is. It's a decent main event for what it was. But here's the problem: early on in the match, maybe a couple of minutes in, at some point, the Undertaker does an Irish whip to Austin. He hits the ropes. He comes back, kicks Taker, but when Taker lifts his head up, he clocks Stone Cold right in the face, giving him a concussion. Stone Cold doesn't have, I've seen interviews where he doesn't have too much recollection of what happened during the match. So therefore, he was pretty sluggish throughout the entire, he does a good job of at least trying to keep up with things are going. And to the Undertaker's credit, he did the best he could to keep things going. But I feel like if he never suffered that concussion, this match would have been that much better than what we got. It wasn't a terrible match, but compared to the rest of the matches that I thoroughly enjoyed, this one just fell a little bit short of some of those matches, but not a terrible main event by any means, I think. I mean, what was your take on it?
I mean, two of the centerfolds of the Attitude Era in the ring together, and for it to be I wouldn't say lackluster main event, but definitely it didn't deliver the way it should. On paper, this should have freaking blew the roof off of Madison Square Garden.
I agree.
In reality, it did not.
Wholeheartedly.
It can be because Stone Cold got concussed. Maybe it's just that they just weren't having the chemistry they normally have. It could be a number of things. We'll never know for sure. But at the end of the day, this should have been a banger of a match, and it wasn't. It definitely undersold the way it should have been a fucking banger, and it wasn't. And it's
It should have
sad.
been.
It's sad because I shit on Stone Cold all the time. I really do. Not the biggest fan of Stone Cold. I was always a Rock guy, but I will give Stone Cold his flowers. He was a great in-ring competitor. When he wants to, he can be a Mac tactician when he wants to be. He doesn't have to, but when he does, it's fucking impressive.
You should see more of his Stunning Steve Austin stuff in WCW. He was pretty good back then, too.
Even The Undertaker, for being a big dude, for being a big guy, he is very agile. Jumping over the top rope, damn near killing himself half the time. But hey, we don't talk about that. But again, for this being a title match in the Attitude Era, I would have preferred that this match was better. You want your main event to be, you either send the people home happy or they're pissed because the guy they wanted to win did not win. And when you have a mid-card match that's better than your main event, you're doing something wrong.
For my money, I'm going to pass it off to the whole concussion thing because I know matches leading up to this, ever since Austin won the title leading up to it, they were very interesting, compelling things going on leading up to this. But that's not to say the match doesn't have a few fun spots. Like at one point, Kane comes out, but Undertaker tells him, nope, I'm going to do it alone. I don't need you here. Go on, shoot. So that's cool. They end up fighting in the crowd for a brief little period, which was kind of a mainstay of the Attitude Era at the time. A lot of people did that.
That's true.
At one point, Taker puts Stone Cold on the commentator's table and does a leg drop off the top rope. Always fun to see that. Even though the table didn't break, they kind of just slid off the table onto the chairs, but that's okay. It's still a cool spot for what it is. And you know what? Austin actually does counter the old school a couple of times throughout the match from what I remember. And at one point he actually clocks Taker in the nuts before he does the stunner and gets the win. So, but he did say in an interview that he was willing to do anything to keep that belt, and that's exactly what he did. So,
but you had that moment. You had that moment at the end of the match where Stone Cold is trying to gather himself. Taker's up on his feet. He's got the belt. They have their little stare down. You're thinking, oh, what is Taker going to do? Because Taker was always, this is before the American Badass too. This is like maybe another year away from that, maybe. And you're like, oh, is he going to fucking hit him with the belt? I mean, Taker always, teetered a line between heel and babyface all the time. He was much like Stone Cold. He was just I'm just fucking here. I'm kicking your ass if I like you or not. It's just the way it is. And then he fucking gives him the belt. They have their little exchange, and then Taker walks away. I'm like, okay. He gave him his flowers. And again, I don't think that nut shot was intentional. I think it's because he was concussed. He just happened to tap him in the dick. It happens. Maybe that was the way it was supposed to go down. That's the magic.
If I ever meet Austin, I'll ask him.
If you ever get to meet him, say, I'm a big fan of yours. Can I get you to sign my belt? Oh, yeah. Did you hit Undertaker in the nuts on purpose at SummerSlam 98? Oh, I got a booger. Yeah.
You are such a dick. You know that?
I am.
You gotta love that brotherly love, people. Gotta love it.
Normally, as we conclude this review, we grade the show. Normally, we would give a letter grade, but I had an idea. And those of you that actually watch or listen to the Real Movie Critics, you'll know that when we review a movie, give it a 1 out of 5, fill in the blank, something particular to that movie. For Independence Day, for an example, we did cigars because cigars played a pretty good part in that.
Victory dance.
There you go. Got it right here. Yeah. I just do different things for those. But I felt like the letter grades are kind of bland. Anybody can give a letter grade.
True.
So went to ChatGPT. I did go to ChatGPT, and I went in there and I asked them to create for me a championship belt that pertains to this particular show, the Josh Zodiac Podcast. We created such belt. So going forward, from now on, when we grade any show that we do on here, it'll be 1 out of 5 championship belts, and it'll be the Josh Zodiac Podcast belt. So that being said, Psycho Nerd, out of 5 championship belts, what do you grade this show?
I thought long and hard about this too. I'm going to say probably, because we had the oddities match that was just kind of, and then 2 back-to-back matches that unfortunately don't deliver like I would have wanted. For me, still a good show. I got to go 3.5. I feel like if If the main event had been just a tad bit better, I could have given it a straight 4 across the board. The ladder match definitely brings it down a full title for me.
Fair enough. For me, there's a couple matches in here that I just was not invested in. The Lion's Den comes to mind. That match could have been better. That you talk about the ladder match being long. It's like, shit, he's not wrong. It was a little long. And the tag title belt match, the handicap match was a little
One-sided?
Yeah, very one-sided, and the whole Kane debacle and everything. So, the Real Movie Critics, I have a habit of bringing the score down. This show, this will not be an exception. I'm afraid I have some bad news. I give this show a 2.5.
Oh.
It's average. It's average. Yes. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, and let me clarify something here, and I do this on the movie review show too, is that when he talks about the show, or in the movies, when Scuba and Psycho talk about the show, I'm in my mind thinking, okay, I have the grade that I have. And then once they start talking about said movie or said sing promotion or program, I'm like, shit, I didn't catch that. I'll increase the grade, or fuck no, that was bad. Let me drop it down. So my grade fluctuates from the beginning of the show to the very end. So I initially had this at a 3. Talking down that ladder match, I'm like, yeah, he's not wrong. I'll give the flowers to that. So again, he gives it a 3.5. I give it a 2.5. Overall score is going to be a 3. Been not bad for the first time we use that particular scale. Sure, We'll have ones that are lower. We'll have ones that are higher. Wish we'd had this for Night of Champions and what was it, Double or Nothing?
Yeah, Double or Nothing, or even
for those two shows. My fucking God, it would have been nuts.
Those would have been 5 across the board for AEW.
For AEW, yeah, it would have been a 4.5, guaranteed.
About a 4.5, probably.
4.5, yeah.
I'll agree with that.
Because they were both good shows, and things that we thought were going to happen didn't. I thought 100% sure that Jey Uso was going to win that match and go on to to become the champion. Didn't happen that way, but it is what it is. So that being said, this will conclude our review of SummerSlam 1998 in Madison Square Garden, not in Las Vegas. I got to give myself shit. So that being said, Psycho Nerd, promote yo shit.
Well, there might be a return of the Psycho Nerd back to my channel on the repeat movie viewer. Pardon me, I'm getting tongue-tied. That's my YouTube channel. Feel free to check it out. He has been absent from my channel for a while, but he will be making a return here pretty quick. Thank you very much. Also, I have just released a new JP's Watch List, episode 5, released it yesterday. I marathoned the entire Evil Dead series leading up to the new Evil Dead Burn. Feel free to check it out. Also, last week I dropped a video talking about Sony going all digital.
Yeah,
up to 51 views now, so feel free to check that out and keep those numbers growing. I would greatly appreciate it.
Speaking of that, how many subscribers do you currently have on your YouTube page right now?
39. I actually got a new subscriber as of the last couple of hours.
It's funny.
It turns out.
That's legit. He checked and goes, "Oh shit, I got a new subscriber."
I check it every day, bro. Every day. Because I'm like, every time that number goes up, it's like, I want to do a dance. I want to dance. I can't.
Doing a happy dance. Doing a happy dance.
Doing a happy dance. Every time. Doing a happy dance.
Let's get him up to 50, guys. Seriously, like, subscribe, follow the Psycho Nerd, repeat movie viewer. Get him up to 50. It's free. Doesn't cost you nothing. You'll make him happy. I want to see him happy. Give him shit, but he's my brother. It's part of my job description to give him shit. So,
kind of, sort of.
It's in the job description. As for here at the Real Zodiac Productions, we have, of course, the Josh Zodiac Podcast. This episode will be dropping more than likely on Sunday. So why am I telling you that? Because you're fucking watching it. Why am I telling you when it dropped? Dude, you wouldn't fucking care how long of a week it was this week. Holy fuck, Jesus. I'm telling people, if you watch this in the future, it dropped on this day. Oh, that's not how that works. Yeah, we'll be doing the reviews of WWE and like old shows they'll drop on Sundays. The AEW ones will drop on Monday because I am not going to fucking edit a show 2:00 in the morning on a Sunday when I got to be at work at 8:00 in the morning. Not happening.
Okay. I was going to say, I've done it that late, but okay, that's a different scenario. Okay.
No, that's the one pet peeve I have about AEW. I can tell you that on the Real Movie Critics this week, we'll be reviewing arguably one of the greatest sequels that I've ever seen, and you may agree with this as well. We'll be talking about The Karate Kid Part 2, arguably the best sequel I've ever seen.
One of the best. Psycho 2 comes to mind as well. Just saying.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
You've never seen it, but trust me.
I'm just agreeing with you, yeah.
Okay, well, that's fair.
Disagreeing with you. Again, you can find those on the Real Zodiac Productions YouTube page. All the descriptions are down below. They have their own playlist, both the Josh Zodiac Podcast and the Real Movie Critics. You can also find those on Spotify and now on Apple Podcasts. I was able to figure out the problem. Fucking got it. Oh, I feel like Ace Ventura. Do you like that? Anyway. Like I said before, we'll be recording an episode of the Hot Tag right after we're done recording this. We'll be talking about short title reigns. I'm actually going to have to Google that. I'm curious what short title reigns we've had.
How about from 1998 with Kane beating Stone Cold Steve Austin at the King of the Ring in a First Blood match and then losing it the very next night to Stone Cold Steve Austin on Raw. How about
Save that? Because I was actually going to bring that up because, I do remember that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, like, subscribe, follow the show, give us a thumbs up, like the show, give us some comments. Let us know what you thought of this particular show. Do you agree with our grade? Do you disagree with our grade? Let us know how many title belts you would have given it and justify your answer. I do check the work. So I am that math teacher. I will check your work. So the Psycho Nerd, I am DJ Zodiac. This has been DJ Zodiac Podcast. That is the final bell for this episode. We broke down the matches, we called out the surprises, and probably cut a couple of promos of our own along the way. Whether you agree with our takes or think we're just full of shit, turned heel, let us know in the comments. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and share the podcast with your fellow members of the wrestling universe. We are sitting at 78. Let's get to 90, guys. Get those numbers up there. But until next time, keep your shoulders off the mat, your finishers protected. And remember, kids, this podcast, the conversation never taps out. We'll catch you on the next episode. Good night, everybody.
Lights go down, the tension's rising high.